Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Jim. I'm here with Steve, my partner, and my brother. Steve?
Hello, everybody. Welcome back here on President's Day.
Yes, sir. Rare day off for me, but we'll take it.
Sure.
Wonder how all the Trump haters are taking this today.
Yeah.
Oh, really? They like Trump today, but they'll hate him tomorrow again.
Right.
Anyway, listen, it's kind of a.
We don't do politics on this show because we could be here for a long time.
That's right. We want emails, but not those kind of emails.
If Bernie wins the presidency, we'll do our Bernie. We'll do Larry David as Bernie Sanders impression.
You're trying to goad me into politic talk, and I'm not biting.
Okay.
Just the thought of Buttigieg and Sanders is enough to make me switch to the
There's so
cornhole
much
championship.
material I have that I'm just not going to share it. I'm sorry. It's only for friends and family.
Yep.
And you need to sign a non-disclosure too after each joke, so you know that going in.
All right, now listen. There's no football to talk about, so let's start off this week with golf. Because you know what? It's almost 60 degrees in the Northeast. It almost feels like spring, and now I'm starting to get into golf. Remember I told you I thought they started it, like a month and a half ago. It was way too early.
Well, today in the Northeast was definitely a golf game. I mean, the temperature was probably 48 today, but it absolutely felt like a spring day, like 60 degrees out there. So
Yeah.
So it was good. I mean, the Genesis being played at one of our favorite courses to watch, Riviera.
Love that place.
In California.
That 18th hole is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And I tell you, Tiger Woods, as we've talked about, he's tied with Sling and Sam for all-time PGA victories at 82. But they showed some real good highlights of Tiger at like 16. When he was U.S. amateur and coming on, and it was so funny. I mean, he literally looked like he was on the Mike Douglas show.
Yeah.
And
for that, listen, I mean that's funny you brought
and you
that
know what
up.
I'm talking about.
I
he
sort
was
of
like what 4 or 5 on Mike Douglas,
hitting like a plastic golf driver, perfect drives.
But the footage of him at 16, I mean,
skinny.
Oh my God, he looked like he was 12.
And then he goes to Stanford for 2 years and wins the NCAA, right? I think both years he was there. Yeah, that was cool. He did a lot for this tournament. He was actually the sponsor of this. So
So he I think he came in dead last, so it wasn't a good showing for him. But nonetheless, it's a great course. It was good to watch. You had some top names at the leaderboard.
It was a loaded field yesterday, and they even said that it was one of the best fields they've had this early in the season in 18 years or something.
But Adam Scott prevails, and Adam Scott was 65th after round 1.
Right.
And the Australian fended off the field, so to speak.
Well, it was pretty close though.
Yeah,
it was a shot or two down the right.
But he had Kuchar on his heels, and Dustin Johnson was sniffing around. But at the end of the day, Scott, I think he won by 2.
Yeah, he did. But you know what? I was pretty surprised. I thought he was even a little older. He's turning 40, I guess, over the summer. He's been around for a long time.
Sure.
That means he won a lot when he was pretty young,
I
right?
think this is, I wanted to say this is his 14th PGA Tour victory.
Something in those lines,
Right.
13, 14.
I thought he might have had a little bit more of like the smaller venues where he would have cleaned up. Yeah, he's got the major for the Masters, so he's off the list. He's a good golfer. I don't dislike Adam Scott. He's he's a good guy.
But I thought they made those putters illegal. I mean, what am I missing?
Yeah, I don't know if there's still a window where
grandfather clause or something.
But I think they're going to be by the wayside soon enough. Still drives me crazy every time I watch them.
I know.
That thing. I hate it.
I know. But there was some good young up and coming golfers there. This guy Max Homa, he looks like a player.
Sure, there was a couple new names that
Damon,
on the field.
guy, with the Kirk triplet hat.
Right. Yeah.
Really? You're going with that hat?
Yeah, but I still, every time I see Matt Kuchar, I'm still holding a grudge over him, like pulling that douche move over paying the caddy and
I was thinking about that all
Mexico
day
or
yesterday.
something. I don't even know if I can root for him anymore, to be honest.
No, and you know exactly what I was thinking yesterday. Goes, oh, does everybody seem to have forgotten this? So they're giving him the coups, like they like him again. He was in contention. I'm saying, if this was New York and Beth Page, they would have been firing one-liners at him. Missed this putter, you're gonna have to tip your caddy, that kind of thing.
I'm just being honest. That was what was going through my head. So I don't believe I've forgiven him for this indiscretion. I think it was kind of a douche move because
Total
I mean we're
ridiculous
talking
move.
huge money that these guys make. I mean huge money, right? And it's a principled thing. And I'm just being honest. I'm watching Matt Kuchar. He's in second place. And I gotta say, I'm like, hoping that he hits it into the drink or
Me too.
I
I felt the same way. It didn't
pull a Jean Velde from,
Jean Van der Velde.
Van de Velde from, British Open or whatever.
That was one of the most embarrassing
Exactly.
moments in golf history. But you're right. I thought about the same thing. Goes, looks like everybody forgot about him stiffing that caddy.
Not here at Sports with Mono and Mono. That's
Exactly. We we think alike. I'm telling you, because I thought the same thing. But these guys are getting ready, and you know what? I have to get used to this. The order of the majors, right? It's the Masters, then it's the PGA, then the Open.
Yep.
The U.S. Open, and then the
Yeah.
Open Championship.
Yeah, so this will be year 2 of the new format.
Yeah.
And I think we liked it last year.
It took me some warming up
Yeah,
to
but we
get
talked
to.
about it. It makes absolute sense. Again, I mean, to have the PGA tournament on, I don't know, the first week of NFL or, the college football season's probably 2 weeks into it by then.
And you know what really, what I always said was going to screw this up, and now I realize it's not, because the U.S. Open is still going to be 100 degrees, right? That's part of the U.S. Open lore.
Sure,
Right?
Yeah, the grass
Whether
will
it's in
still
the
be
Northeast.
10 feet tall and everything else.
Right. But it's always, like in June, it used to always be in June, and it was hot as you could possibly imagine for the U.S. Open. Ask Ken Venturi when he won that tournament in Congressional.
It was a little dizzy.
They had to play 36 holes for that one. That was the U.S. Open at Congressional.
Right.
And he withstood it and was dehydrated and won it. One of the great remarkable stories.
Absolutely.
Playing 36 holes in 104-degree heat in Washington, D.C. on the final Sunday is quite a feat for Mr. Venturi.
So, I mean, golf is pretty much in full swing now, so that's a big tournament.
Yep.
And before you know it, the Masters in Augusta will be here. 5 weeks or so?
5, 6
5,
weeks.
6 weeks tops. So,
Yep.
Brooks wasn't around pretty much this weekend. He's just getting ready, and he talks about it. He's a major guy, and I know he had some off-season surgery and some issues. So the fact that you're not seeing Brooks Koepka right now, I wouldn't sweat that one
He's lurking behind the clubhouse.
He's lurking, so he'll be ready. He'll be ready to rock and roll.
But it looks like your guy, and I know he's your guy, Rory McIlroy. He's
He
played
was
a
in
pretty
the
good
hunt.
tournament, but this Achilles heel, he misses 6-footers sometimes, like down the stretch. Going, if you make half of those things, you've won twice as much.
Yeah,
That's why it's hard for me to pick him. I mean, I know he's got 2 majors already, or 3, or whatever he's got, but it drives me crazy to see him miss some of these putts. It really does.
yeah. So he's in contention. So
All right.
yep.
And we haven't even talked about this because they're trying. I guess this is a spin-off of the XFL, trying to leverage the NFL, a potential competitor to the PGA Tour, something Pioneer, something Tour or something. And they initially threw it out like I guess their spokesman is somebody like Michael Avenatti, that Tiger Woods was going to sign up for this. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Well, Michael Avenatti's a little busy right now in court because he'll be spending the rest of his life in jail.
I think he's at the tailor getting measured for his orange jumpsuit.
That shakedown artist, big time. He's getting his comeuppance. Love it.
Good.
Love every minute of it.
Not disappointed by that.
Nope.
But listen, we opened up with golf, and we're going to stay with golf throughout the next few months and so forth. And, you know, our golf segment was sponsored by a fellow golfer of mine, Coriano, Guy Coriano of Coriano Trucking. Play a couple times a year with him, and we thank them again for their sponsorship.
Sure do.
So, Steve, I guess we have to touch it. It's the midway point of the NBA season and this All-Star weekend, which I didn't watch 2 seconds of, but I know Team Giannis versus Team LeBron and,
Yep.
you know, the whole thing. Did you watch it? And could you watch it more than for 5 minutes?
I could watch it, but I didn't.
Chose
watch
not
it.
to.
Chose not to.
Me too.
And I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm being honest here.
No defense, just guys just bombing.
I got to be
away.
honest. Should we watch it and report on it and give you our feedback? Yes.
Well, but
But it also wouldn't be fair to me, to you,
I know,
to give you the feedback.
But you and I have always conceded. Look, from an NBA perspective, we're not as diligent in our viewing as we are in other sports. But we know what's going on. We
Yeah.
know who the players are. We know it's LeBron and Giannis, and these are the best guys, and Kawhi Leonard and so forth.
Right.
You know,
I know it was 157 to 156.
right? Which tells you what? You know,
It
I'm not
means
going to step in
I'm
the
not
guy's way.
watching
you
this.
know.
I'm not doing it. And
Some of the dunks were cool in the dunk contest, but I never heard of any of these guys either. I mean,
okay. So that's another thing that I didn't watch.
one was pretty cool.
Aaron Gordon.
I think that's who it was.
That's right. Aaron Gordon, what I do know, got screwed. Definitely got screwed a couple years ago. And from what I'm told, again, he got screwed again. So he probably had the highlight dunk of the weekend again and still doesn't win it. And I do know that Aaron has said, I'm never doing this again. So,
Yeah.
but listen, for the younger kids, that's what it's about. For, diehard NBA fans, I get it.
And again, it's the David Stern legacy. He built this brand up to be
Right,
just
but I'm
incredibly
also,
marketable.
again, we talked about Kobe Bryant passing away, and again, I still feel bad that he lost his life, the family, the members on the plane, but I really have had my fill of the Kobe tributes, so that was kind of another reason I didn't watch.
You knew it was going to be Kobe focused, and
Well,
they
that's
did
true.
change the MVP award to the Kobe Bryant
Fine.
award, which I don't have.
I don't have a problem with it. But the point is, I'm Kobe'd out already here, okay? And I'm just being honest. So if you got to,
That's fair.
you want to crush me, sportswithmono@gmail.com. But, the NBA will be back in full swing. They get their All-Star break. Is it an All-Star game? Not really.
But I did watch. Listen, if we're going to start paying attention to some of these teams, I did watch Boston.
Yeah.
I actually watched a few quarters of that game. They look pretty good.
Sure
I
do.
mean, being on the East and so forth.
I got Jason Tatum is coming into his own, and
But it's going to be the Clippers and the Lakers out west.
it's the Milwaukee Bucks
Milwaukee.
in the East, and it's the Celtics, and I would say the Raptors and the 76ers are, I would say, the top 4 teams to look at in the East. However, I would say the Lakers are probably the favorite to win it with Milwaukee right up there. So here we are at halfway. I'd be surprised if the Lakers and Bucks are not facing off each other in the final.
And it's kind of when I think about it, and
Injuries aside.
I know, but when I saw this whole James in the off-season thing, and he said he wanted Anthony Davis, and he got him. They didn't really add a lot around them too. So was that guy the one player that could take LeBron James and now Anthony Davis to go from a basement dweller to
Yeah.
one of the top teams
Yes.
in the West?
Yes.
To compete against the Clippers?
Yes.
Really? I'm having a hard time.
Well, the
with
record
this.
is indicative of it. So.
I know, but it just goes to show. I mean, how bad this was. The LA Lakers, we were a horrible team. with a
Right.
great player on it, and he
Right.
says, I want to change this, and one guy did that.
Yeah.
One guy did it.
Yes, he did.
All right.
And there's only one guy that could do it, and it's him.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's where we are on our NBA.
I'd love to
talk.
see that matchup, Giannis versus Anthony Davis in the
Okay,
finals.
well.
That would be actually worth watching.
They got work to do, but it's a viable possibility. You know, on the New York Knicks, though, we didn't talk about it last week, but you know, Dolan finally fired Steve Mills, which is God a long time coming. And I swear to God, I don't know how this guy kept his job for as long as he did. To be completely frank, so. The
You
Knicks-
always said he was supposed to go too. And
Oh.
yeah, but when they fired Fizdale and didn't fire Mills, I said they're keeping him.
Yeah, well, you
What
know.
changed in those 3 weeks?
Well, I think the chance at the Garden of sell the team, because Dolan takes that stuff personally.
but he hears it all the
personally.
time. He hears it all the time.
Yeah, but again, once it gets to the level of what it is, and that the Knicks are again playing so bad, the roster's terrible. Mills had to go, but they did hire Leon Rose as the president of the Knicks. This guy is well respected within the NBA.
Is he the one who was the agent? He was an agent
He's a
for
big-
LeBron and these
yeah,
guys.
he's a big player as far as that goes. So you got to think the guy is well connected. And again, the Knicks are at least 2 to 3 years away. But the bottom line is he has to change the culture to even have people even want to play for the Knicks. So again, we like R.J. Barrett. This kid Mitchell Robinson's a good player. They got a couple young kids. We'll see what happens, but it's been so bad for so long.
What do you
I'm
think-
at the point where what's another 2 years?
But what do
away?
you think the Knicks need? What is it when you say culture change?
They need
it
talent.
drives me, and people still go to the games because it's New York.
They
right?
need talent. They don't have talent
But
from one to
who's
10.
the head coach? The type of head coach? Is it a young gun? Is it an old guy? Is it Hubie Brown?
It's
You
to be
know,
determined.
you know.
I can't even give you an answer. I really can't. Again, you know, who do we ever hear of David Fizdale 2 years ago?
No.
Maybe peripherally, you know, this, that, I did. Again, he comes in.
Not for head coaching
An
material.
absolute complete disaster. Complete disaster. So you get set back again. Obviously, the Phil Jackson thing. I mean, who wasn't on board with that 5 years ago or whatever
Me.
it was? Yeah.
Me,
Okay.
because I said this guy he's a bank robber,
Well,
and he did. He walked
did
in,
exactly what you said.
pointed the gun at the teller, didn't wear a mask, and got exactly what he was looking for, and spent 10 minutes a week working his job.
Listen, he tried to get Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr almost came aboard. And to Steve Kerr's credit, thank God he made the decision that he made.
Because he saw there was zero talent to work
Absolutely.
with. This was even before R.J. Barrett.
Right, so that's another 5-6 years that the franchise has been set back. Then he drafts Frank Tilakina, you know, number one pick, you know, and on and on and on. And then, you know, if we get forensic with guys that were available, even going back to Stephen Curry, you know, when he was drafted, what, 7th or 8th or something like that overall, 12th or something like that. The Knicks are like right ahead of him, you know, and I'm not, again, it's just so many comical bad decisions over 20, 22, 23 years that, but you know what? The place is still packed. And
I
it's
don't
still
know
a
who-
marquee ticket, and I don't get that. And,
I agree.
But, you know, the Knicks are...
You know what drives me crazy,
The
Steven?
Knicks are just awful.
But what drives me crazy is like the general manager. There's only, what, 10 or 11 guys on the team. And, you know, I mean, guys in football, they got 48 guys they got to
53
make
man
personnel
roster.
kind of thing, right? It's a 10 guys. And they signed 9 guys that you never heard of that have proven nothing in the NBA. That's on James Dolan. That's on James Dolan. And you're right. What took him so long to get rid of Steve Mills? I mean, for God's sake.
In his defense, he does let the Rangers be, and the Rangers have been competitive for the past 10, 15 years. They have been. And he kind of stays out of the Rangers' way.
Why do you think
And
that is?
you know, the
though?
Rangers are rebuilding the proper way. So I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, to be fair, right? He owns both sides of the equation and the Garden.
But somehow there's got to be a piece of paper in that contract that says he's got to stay away from the Rangers. Like he can't have any say in the Rangers whatsoever. Because I agree with you, and I watched them yesterday. They lost to Boston 3-1 and
Yep.
stuff, and it was a good game.
But they're
Charlie
they're
Coyle,
playing well, and they're right on pace to be really competitive in the next 2 years.
2 years away at
Yeah.
least, I think. You're right.
I'm happy with the way the Rangers are going. We talked about Artemi Panarin, the offseason big acquisition. This guy hasn't disappointed in the slightest. In fact, he's better than what I even anticipated. So right there. Is
But
a
they
nice
got
open
good young
goal.
defensemen in Fox and D'Angelo and these guys and so forth. But
But while we're on hockey, we're shifting gears about basketball. One other thing about basketball, I will say, I had the privilege, first time ever, I went to Rutgers for a basketball game, to the Rack, in person, and they played Illinois. And I must say, I was quite impressed with the venue and the atmosphere and the ease of getting in and out of there. And I couldn't have been more impressed. Rutgers played well, beat Illinois. They won by like 8 or 9, and I just wanted to say that, hey, you know,
they got good facilities.
they
there.
got good facilities. And in fact, I met Coach Shiano
Did you?
in the stands by circumstance, and wished him good luck. But it was a good venue for Rutgers, and I just wanted to say, you know, hey, it's not a bad place to play if you're a high school kid and you're 6'9" and 10, and you want to play in the Big Ten.
But
They're coming on their way.
can they compete against the Michigan State, a Michigan?
We
don't-
shall see.
Well, we shall see. But they do have beautiful facilities there. There's no question about it. We went to a football game this year, and it was spectacular.
Yeah.
So.
So we just touched on the Rangers. So I wanted to bring something up on hockey. So I just saw on one of the websites talking about USA Hockey, and USA Hockey had a poll, or it was a couple people's opinions, and I thought it was interesting. I thought I'd bring it up to you. So the top 20 U.S.-born NHL players,
Yeah.
and I figured it's pretty cool, actually.
Okay. Well, you laid this on me a little while ago, and the first name that I said is not even on the top 20 of
Yeah.
U.S.-born Americans, and I would love some feedback from people to say, what was your first answer to
tell
that question?
Oh, he's not on it.
Bobby Carpenter,
Bobby Carpenter.
right? I mean, 50-goal scorer for the Caps, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not on the top 20 USA-born hockey players.
Again, this is a subjective list. So I got to think I was stunned that he wasn't on the list. But let's go through it real quick.
Yep.
Number 20, captain of the 1980 Olympic team,
Micah Ruzioni.
Mark Johnson, center from Wisconsin, national champion, right?
Okay.
The goal against the Russians, he had the 2 goals. And that was also the national championship winning head coach for Wisconsin's women's team. Great hockey player. 669 games, 203 goals, 305 assists.
Okay.
Okay. Number 19 from the Minnesota North Stars, center Neil Broughton.
Another Olympian.
Totally.
Too. Yeah.
Won an NCAA title at the University of Minnesota, member of the Miracle on Ice. And then he actually won a Stanley Cup with the Devils in '95. He had 289 goals, 634 assists.
Yeah, good career. Good career.
Number 18, Mark Howe, defenseman.
Steady.
929 games, 197 goals, 545 assists. And, we remember Mark Howe.
The twin brother, I think, too. Marty.
Marty.
Right.
Number 17, goalie, New York Rangers.
Mike Richter.
Michael Richter, 666 games, 904 save percentage, 2.89 goals against.
Wisconsin Badger, too?
He was a Badger.
Yeah.
And of course, he won the Stanley Cup with the New York Rangers and 300 career wins. And he was the MVP of the World Cup of Hockey in '96, which was also a really great tournament back then. I remember that.
Okay.
Number 16 of the Washington Capitals, current player, John Carlson, defenseman. 746 games, 105 goals, 367 assists.
Would have had him down as a Swede or something.
Yeah,
right?
he's American, but this list, get
to the top 5.
What I
sure.
like about the list is it's got some young guys in it.
All right.
Tony Amante, number 15. 416 goals.
Came up with the Rangers.
Played at BU. I know Tony Amonte. Bill Guerin, number 14.
Good player.
Great player. Played at Boston College. 2 Stanley Cups.
Had like 2 careers, man, right? One with the Devils and one with...
Played with the Bruins for a bit.
Yeah.
At the end. 429 goals.
Nice.
Jonathan Quick, number 13, goalie with the Kings. Right? 2 Stanley Cups and a Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Number 12 is a guy named Frank Brimsack, an old timer from 1939 to 50.
Before my time.
Yeah, goalie, never heard of him, but he won the Stanley Cup in 39, 2 Vezins.
Okay.
Number 11, Calgary Flames and other teams. Phil Housley, Buffalo Sabres.
Came up with the Sabres, actually, as an 18-year-old kid. He was a
Right?
baby face. Looked like Richie Cunningham.
Totally. So he had 338 goals, 894 assists.
Good player.
Great player.
Yep.
Number 10, Joey Mullen,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Penguins. 502 career goals, 561 assists.
I think they played in the Northeast over here when they were growing up in high school. I remember my
Yeah, I think they're
brother-in-law
New York-
telling
I
me.
think
Yeah,
they're New York
they
kids.
are New York kids.
Number 9, Keith Kachuk.
Son of Walter?
No, not son, but 538 career goals. His 2 sons are in the NHL now, Matt Kachuk and Brady Kachuk.
Wow.
But he's the all-time leads the NHL in goals.
Remember him on the Rangers?
538 goals. Number 8, Jeremy Rennick.
Ooh.
513 goals.
A lot. Yeah, he was
Right.
good. Scored a lot.
He
He
did.
was a high scorer.
703 assists. Number 7, Chris Chelios. Right?
Boy,
Long career, 1984 to 2010. You know, was on really good teams, Canadians, so on and so
26-year career.
forth. Yeah.
Whoa.
185 goals, 763 assists. Well deserved.
Couple cups we won with the
Absolutely.
Red Wings. Right? Yeah.
Number 6, Brian Leach. 247 goals, 781 assists. Right?
Yeah.
No brainer. Now here's a young kid makes it. Number 5, Jack Eichel. He's on Buffalo. He's on
Boston College guy?
Boston University
Boston
High
U.
School.
Okay.
But I tell you what, he's got already in 344 games already. He's got 134 goals and 199 assists.
Up and coming young
Yeah.
fella, isn't he?
Right?
Okay.
So he's doing well. Number 4, Patty LaFontaine.
That was my second guess when you put
Right?
it to me.
That would have had him pretty much up there in the top 5. So he's right where he is. 84 to 98. Thing about Pat was he had some concussion issues.
Yeah, he's cut short his career.
468 goals. I mean, if he was healthy, absolutely would
Missed
have
a lot
had
of time. Missed a lot of time.
But he great guy and one of the real gentlemen.
He tried to come back with the Rangers, didn't work out.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Number 3, Mike Madonna.
Yeah, he was a scorer too. Fast.
561 goals,
Yeah.
which is the most for any U.S.-born player.
Scored most of them for the Stars,
Dallas
right?
Stars, absolutely. 813 assists.
Yeah.
And number 2, Austin Matthews, currently on Toronto. You know, we talked about Eichel. 272 games, 153 goals, 123 assists.
He's going to score 600
He's
goals
going to
before it's
score.
all done.
And 700 wouldn't be out of the realm either.
Right.
He's a young kid and
Yeah.
he's well on his way.
Yeah.
And then quickly, number 1, Patrick Kane. 962 games, 383 goals, 629 assists, 2-time Stanley Cup champ with
Yeah.
with the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
He always gets in trouble, but I think he's tuned it down. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
A list for our hockey fans.
Yeah, I'm
That's
surprised
pretty good.
LaFontaine wasn't up there because I think he may either him or may be the all-time goal-scoring leader for American hockey.
It's
right?
Mike Madonna,
Madonna,
561.
Okay.
And
LaFontaine's got to have
and
fun.
Keith
wouldn't he?
Kachuk has, I think, the single season hockey or the goal scoring record.
All right, cool.
50 something. So, wanted to touch on hockey, and we'll obviously stay. You know, trade deadlines coming up. We'll see if the Rangers make some moves.
I hope they keep Kreider. I think if they're going to build, they need that one guy that's.
I've been looking to get Kreider out, and you know what? I've actually changed my tune. I think at 28, they need to keep him, re-sign him, make him the captain of the team.
And
I
put
got
the
a
young
text-
kids around him.
I got a text from one of our loyal listeners, Teddy Giandana, today, who actually I'm kind of, you know, I agree with Ted. He said that. And I've been thinking that for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think he's a building block.
Me too.
And I think
I hope the trade
I
comes
don't
and
think the
goes and he
trade-
sticks around. I do think Lundqvist is going to take the option to get out. He's not even playing anymore. He's actually like third string, and if he wants a shot at the cup, he's going to have to sign off on that. And I think that's a possibility.
let's hope he does the right thing. It's time, Henrik. If you want to go win a cup, go. You know, free us. You had a good career. Fine. You didn't bring us the cup.
Because we just said we're 2 years away from even contending for a cup, and you're not going to get the ice time that you wanted. So, yep, I think that's up to him. But hey, listen, that was good. Some good hockey stuff with the USA-born players, and that segment sponsored by Lynch Motors of Manchester, Connecticut, sponsor of our show for better part of a year, and we thank them.
Yeah.
So what else, Steve? All right, as I said, we're really covering the gamut here today.
Boxing?
We're going to talk about
Boxing?
I know. And there's a reason we're going to talk about boxing. First, one thing that was cool, Steve and I bring it up all the time about HBO and Showtime sports programming. HBO had this new thing on with the interviews Muhammad Ali did with Dick Cavett. They actually became pretty close friends, actually, over the course of time.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali was a genius. I mean, he was a marketing genius. He was great at what he did. And it covered, him coming up in the interviews and, sitting down talking about Foreman and Norton and so forth. It's so witty and clever. And unlike Yogi Berra, he wrote all his own material. I mean, that was his stuff,
Yeah.
right? But it got sad at the end when they talked about, him hanging on and going in with Holmes and Holmes having to mop the
Man,
floor
I
with him.
remember watching that fight live.
And Holmes genuinely felt bad. He didn't want to have to do this, but
I know.
he did it, and it was kind of a shame. But it's really good television, good worth watching, and to see Muhammad Ali, light the Olympic candle in 1996
Right.
in the condition, the Parkinson's ridden, it was. I will say it was pretty inspirational, and it's worth a watch. And I wanted to make sure we mention that because if you're a boxing fan and you don't know about Muhammad Ali, this is
Absolutely. So that's on HBO. Definitely, we recommend catching
Yep.
that. But there is a big heavyweight fight this weekend.
and this is why we're talking about boxing, but we're gonna have to do it. And I'm gonna give the mic to you for a second.
No, listen. You know what? There hasn't been a really good heavyweight boxing match since I would say Lennox Lewis and when Bo and Holyfield and Tyson
And that's even stretching.
and that's even stretching. And again, we were spoiled growing up with Ali, Norton,
But look
Frazier,
what it's come down to, and the reason we're bringing up Wilder Fury 2.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't even know there was a 1.
These guys, this is actually going to be a good fight. Deontay Wilder, he's a big boy. This guy Fury's coming back from some personal problems.
He looks like Butterbean, for God's sake. You ever seen a more out of shape boxer that was actually the contender?
But this
Here's
guy,
the thing.
he
Here's
can
why I'm
throw it
bringing.
down.
But
This
here's
guy
where
can
I'm
throw
bringing it up. 'Cause I'm not going to be watching it unless HBO or pay-per-view screws up and pumps it into my house, and there's absolutely nothing else on TV. The honeymooners aren't on. All the family's not on.
Understood.
Then I'll watch it.
That's my policy as well.
But I think somebody told me it's $75
Okay.
to order this fight and watch it in your living room.
Sure.
Is that, to me,
Insane?
insane?
Of course. Well, you could have 10 of your closest buddies over and you could all share.
And I'm not saying all boxing stinks, because this kid Lomachenko, he's a real good fighter, and, these guys are pit bulls. This is a joke. I mean, I'm not telling you Fury couldn't knock anybody's head off with one punch. He's 300 pounds of crying out loud. Of course he can. But who would pay 70 cents to watch this?
A lot of guys. So it's going to happen. It's Saturday night. And there is a clause, of course, for a third fight. So
Is this a bit? Are you...
No, this is true.
Okay.
So,
Sounds like a bit.
God knows what's going to happen on the decision here. But these are two big guys, I tell you. So listen, if you're a boxing fan, it's good to see a heavyweight. But I'm not being
Pick the winner
ridiculous.
then. Pick the winner. Pick the winner.
I'm gonna go with Wilder.
Who won the first fight?
I think it was a draw,
A draw.
if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think it was a draw. Somebody won.
I think it was a draw.
All right, regardless. So either way, they have the draw. Whoever wins this fight
There should be
sets up the
another
third
draw
fight.
tonight.
And by then it'll be $170 to watch Fury Wilder 3.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. We covered boxing, and good luck on that. Pay
And listen, to our
$75.
fans out there, if you want to talk about boxing, we will be happy. You mentioned Ali, Frazier, Norton, Foreman, all these guys. That was boxing. That was the
Sugar
era
Ray
of boxing.
Leonard, Thomas Hearns, anybody.
Yep.
You know,
The
going on and
'76
on.
Olympic team was. They
Sweet
all
Pea-
became
Sweet Pea Purnell Whitaker, who was one of our notable passings.
Mark
of,
Breland, right?
anybody.
All those guys.
Absolutely.
Right?
Alexis Arguello.
Yep.
Aaron Pryor. I
What
could
has
go
happened
on
to the
and
sport
on
of
and
boxing? You know what's? I know what's happened. It's been taken
on.
over
Mickey
by this.
Ward, Arturo Gatti, that type of thing.
But
Right.
this UFC has completely made boxing
Yeah,
second-class citizens.
second-class citizens. So,
No question, but
right.
listen, if you're gonna pay $70,
we would love to get your feedback.
Please.
If you actually are one of the people that paid $75 to watch it.
and just please send us an email because I'll be watching The Honeymooners. As if it's Saturday night at 11 o'clock from Vegas. Is that where it is? Vegas.
I would assume so. I would imagine it'd be slightly delayed until midnight. Maybe some retaping of the hands involved,
Oh,
things like
for
that.
God's sake.
So enjoy the pre-fight entertainment, the undercards,
Enjoy it.
and celebrities in and around the ring. So
Yeah.
enjoy it. But I'll go with Wilder here.
But boxing fans, we're still open for questions and and critique.
You bet.
You're not getting 70 out of me to watch this show.
No, you were not.
Not a dime. Anyway.
So that's boxing, and then we'll finish up with a little baseball. What are your thoughts about Rob Manfred being interviewed?
Well,
and the blowback he's getting from players, most notably Mike Trout
Came out today.
came
yeah.
out yesterday or whatever, and there's some other players saying, you know what, the players are getting away,
Basically scot-free. I mean,
basically scot-free, and Manfred, I think, is kind of on his heels saying that he came down as hard as he thinks he could have.
but he was
I
worried
don't know
about
if the
the.
story's over yet.
But he was worried about all the players filing grievances with the Players Association and it becoming just a legal mess that could
Right.
potentially threaten the season
Well,
altogether.
Yeah, threaten the collective bargaining agreement, which I think is coming up. It's either this year or next year. So
All right, and my whole thing is with this thing. Again, I find it impossible to believe that somebody was wearing a buzzer. I find it
I don't
impossible to believe that Altuve and Bregman and George Springer hit 400 in the World Series because someone was telling them a curveball's coming. I find it impossible to believe.
I don't.
And then you get the opportunity to listen to the owner of the Astros, who was the most embarrassing representation of a Major League Baseball owner. Instead of just taking it on the chin, right? Which what they all did. They did the right thing. They fired Hinch. They fired the GM,
Yeah.
Lunau, or whatever it was, and him to say that it didn't
Fines,
affect the
draft
integrity of the game or it didn't have a negative impact. It didn't alter anything. I'm not looking for him to say, yeah, we did it. We used what was the code breaker software and whatever. I still contend there's only about 5 seconds between pitches. The buzzer and bang garbage cans and know what's coming is impossible for me to believe. But he handled it horrific. And I'm not a big Rob Manfred fan, but I didn't expect the lash out that he's gotten in the past. I mean, this has been, he handed this down a month ago.
That's why I think it's.
But Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, was embarrassing.
Yeah, he was. He
Embarrassing.
had deer in the headlights, and the more he spoke, the more embarrassing it got for him. He kept tripping over himself, and he didn't come across as credible, to say the least. So, and again, we'll see what happens with this story. I think for the most part, because it's early spring training, that it's still front and center. But the fact that like a Mike Trout, who never really says anything, chimes in a bit, I just thought that was a little compelling.
But if somebody was,
I do think with technology, I don't think it's out of the realm, the sophistication of what this was about, who even knows if we even know what the full story is.
and listen,
So,
I did concede this. I get that technology is much more advanced and so forth. And like I said, cheating in baseball is as old as the game itself, and I will contend that. But I just don't think somebody was wearing a buzzer, and I don't think there's enough time in between pitches to adjust to a major league pitch coming, whether it's a curveball or a fastball. I just don't see it. Not to the point where Altuve won an MVP. So, okay, if he goes and hits 220 with 9 home runs and 13 runs batted in next year, I'll say, you know what, maybe he's not getting the pitches that he thought he was going to get. We'll see.
okay.
That's my final word on this. Because, like I said, if Mike Trout, somebody said, "Hey, listen, the next pitch," the catcher whispers to him, says it's going to be a curveball for his 500th home run. Is he going to say timeout? He just told me what was coming.
I'm just saying, Houston is in for a lot of ball breaking this year from a lot of teams, and you know what? Don't be surprised if there's several bench clearing brawls that go on with teams that are looking to get back at them. And again,
What, these guys are going to throw at their heads because they
I'm just
allege
saying, they're gonna, this is baseball, man. You know, it's gonna,
Right.
you know, be some high Ty Cobb spikes to the shin coming into second base, and don't be surprised.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
so
Good enough on baseball.
Yeah,
like I
but-
said, spring training, pitchers and catches are in, and
yeah.
we're about 5 weeks away from opening day.
So while we're on baseball, let's segue to notable passings, which just came in. Actually, I read about him this morning. So Tony Fernandez, ex-Major League shortstop. Think of him most
Padres, Blue Jays,
Blue Jays
Yankees.
mainly, Yankees, Padres.
Yeah,
But Tony,
Good glove, good glove.
He passed away at age 57. 2,276 career hits,
more than I would have thought he had.
288 career average.
Respectable
A
for
little
that
bit higher
era.
too, I thought. 844 RBIs. Definitely not Hall of Fame worthy,
No,
but played a long career,
he did.
and you know he's famous for a big error. He had a big error in one of the big playoff games. I think it was with the Padres or the. I'm trying to remember, but it was a big error. And I don't want to stain him with that, but Tony Fernandez was a really good baseball player.
I know, when you
Class
told me
guy.
he was 57 years old, I said I thought he was 48 when he was on the Yankees at the end of his career. For God's sakes.
Well, of course.
Right?
Right.
But 2,200 hits, it's more than I thought he would have had.
Yep.
I wouldn't have said 2,000 at all. Good glove, though.
But that's a notable passing, and I don't believe we had any more notable passings this particular week.
Yeah.
But he was a good ball player and well liked by his peers. So he won 4 consecutive Gold Gloves.
Yeah, I knew he has a solid gold glove.
And he was
yeah.
a 5-time All-Star. And
Yeah.
he had 17 seasons in the big leagues. So.
All right. R.I.P., as we say to our...
He was a Met, actually, for a year.
Yeah.
World Series champion twice, 93 and 96.
The Blue Jays, right? Yeah.
And
One of those was the Joe Carter year,
the
obviously.
New
right?
York Yankees, if I remember correctly, won the World Series in 1996.
He got a ring?
He was probably a backup back then.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Hey, listen. So I think it was a good week for a little bit of variety from our standard NFL fare.
Yeah.
But we're moving on. Spring is approaching, and you know we just certainly want to mention our final sponsor, which is D. Filippi's Bakery of Monticello, New York.
yeah.
Very loyal sponsor of the show, and we thank them very much for their patronage. So, Steve, we'll catch up next week, and like I said, like Steve brings it up over and over again. Feel free to respond, comments on YouTube and SoundCloud.com, and send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. So thanks for joining us this week, and look forward to wrapping next week.
You got it. Have a great week, everybody.
All right, guys, thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.